I love it when you objectify me. Happy Thursday, everybody. Almost Thursday. According to an alarming new poll, 28% of Americans are looking for a job, including this guy. The FBI is investigating an incident at the DNC where protesters put maggots in the delegates' breakfast, mortifying the delegates who wanted vegan options. Although one man wasn't fazed, who told the others, hey, just eat around it.
He's a friend.
What was he doing there? Bill Clinton spoke at the convention tonight, saying Democrats should put aside differences and come together under his podium.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Tim Walz accepted his party's nomination for vice president tonight. He said he hasn't been this excited since he landed that plane on the Hudson. He's a big liar. RFK Jr. is rumored to be dropping out of the presidential race to endorse Donald Trump. Apparently, he wants an administration job in return. Secretary of Delicious Dead Bears. The Labor Department has revised the job numbers down by a whopping 800,000. Wow, I wish the Labor Department would measure my weight, said Joy Behar. Meanwhile, the DNC is embracing country music. Unfortunately, the country is Iran. The world's oldest person has died at the age of 117. I know. Even more surprising, it was during childbirth. But her family said she died doing what she loved, desperately trying not to die. J.D. Vance claimed during a Wednesday campaign rally that Kamala Harris will lead America into a nuclear war. Now, to be fair, she's always getting bombed. Finally, J.Lo has officially filed for divorce from Ben Affleck. Still no word, though, on who will get custody of her ass. All right.
I filed adoption papers.
Disgusting that you would laugh at something like that. Who are you people? So at the DNC, the Dems addressed our nation's economy woes with solid policy points. And they were as solid as Biden's last number 2. Watching these nuts tell Americans struggling to feed their families that Bidenomics is working is like telling Brian Stelter that those donuts are slimming. Nothing's working, because it's not an economic plan, it's a government grift. The truth is, the Dems hate opportunity unless it's a handout from them. Then they hold on to the power. Take Democrat Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Here she is bashing J.D. Vance for going to a good school.
Now, J.D. Vance likes to talk about how he's from Ohio. But as soon as he could, he ran away to Yale and Silicon Valley, cozying up with billionaires.
So in this clown's stupid logic, why bother to better yourself? By that logic, Obama should have stayed in Kenya. I think it would say. Meanwhile, here's former First Lady Michelle Obama last night.
Kamala has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth.
Generational wealth. Something good that now in the prism of liberal politics is very bad. But don't worry, the Obamas own at least 4 homes. That's a lot of separate bedrooms for them to avoid sex. Michelle reportedly gets $750,000 for a 1-hour speech. It's actually $50,000 for the speech and $700,000 to watch her rip a phone book in half. But 750 grand? Really? That's almost as much as I got paid to pose nude for that art class at the Villages. So Michelle trashes Trump for generational wealth as she creates a ton of generational wealth. You think the Obama girls are ever going to worry about rent? They're set for life unless they start voting Republican. But there's nothing wrong with them getting rich from dad, because it's none of my business. If your parents work their butts off for a better life for their kids, why should I care? Well, unless I'm an envy-driven failure who sees oppression in other people's success. Speaking of, here's Bernie Sanders, who owns more homes than Combs and made a career trashing billionaires. Why? Because he used to trash millionaires until he became one. It's like when I used to make fun of little people until I stopped growing. So now he's moved on to evil billionaires.
The top 1% have never, ever had it so good. We need an economy that works for all of us, not just the billionaire class.
Well, Bernie, the top 1%, they're not billionaires. They make $780,000 maybe. But expecting socialists to know math is like expecting Jesse Waters to know the alphabet. Then after bashing billionaires, in an irony completely lost in the DNC, billionaire Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker went on right after Sanders and said this.
Donald Trump thinks that we should trust him on the economy because he claims to be very rich. But take it from an actual billionaire. Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity.
Looks like he ate George Lopez. So a socialist craps on billionaires before welcoming a billionaire. That's like me condemning illiteracy, then doing Fox and Friends. And you want generational wealth? Pritzker's family owns the Hyatt hotel chain. He's like Paris Hilton, but thank God for us, he didn't make a sex tape. It's funny, Pritzker inherited his billions and rags on Trump about being rich. What's next for Pritz? Calling Trump fat? Hell, Pritzker looks like he ate the entire hotel chain. What's the JB stand for? Jiggly boobs? But to avoid their lousy economy, they create the straw man of the greedy rich, and I don't blame them. Today, a new report came out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a place so boring it makes C-SPAN look like Pornhub. The report updated a March report that said the job market is smoking hot. Yeah, if you think smoking hot is Michael Moore and Lululemons. Turns out the job estimates were off by 818,000. I haven't seen a revision that severe since they cut all the sex scenes out of the 5. Too bad Joe's Commerce Secretary didn't get the news.
Today, the Bureau of Labor saying that more than 800,000 fewer jobs were actually created than initially reported.
When I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
And she calls herself a secretary? I bet she doesn't even respond to the name Toots. Then there's Cam's plan for a 25% tax on unrealized income. What's that, you say? Well, if you own a property or stock and its value goes up, you would owe tax on that gain despite not selling anything. Now, say the value drops the following year, you're still stuck paying the 25% tax on a gain that existed only on paper, and you don't get the money back. It's classic leftism, disguised theft with jargon like unrealized gains, and steal your money before you even made it. That's like me getting slapped before I grabbed Brit Hume's ass. I have to say, it felt really good, Greg. But the government could do that if Cam has her way. And why not? Dems in power already got theirs. They don't have to worry about a home or inflation or bad schools or rampant crime. They got you over a barrel, and soon you'll be wearing one. Let's welcome makes George Hamilton look like an albino. Novelist and literary critic Walter Kern. She's the prettiest face to say, I rest my case. Co-host of Outnumbered, Emily Campagno. Now when she pees on the floor, she says her water broke. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Kat Tiff. And the Taj Mahal was modeled after his nipples. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion Tyrus. Walter, I've been dying to hear what's going on in your brain since the DNC started. You have almost like this a kabuki theater of middle America. Suddenly, everybody who hates old white guys, the flag, pickup trucks, the NRA, rifles, now is embracing it, pretending they're the Waltons.
Right. Well, first of all, they don't like J.D. Vance because he actually, grew up poorer than they did and then made money. The Democrats seem to be this year very divided about money and about ambition and about rising in the world. Because the Democrats think there are two kinds of money. The kind they have, which is good, the kind J.B. Pritzker has or Michelle Obama has, and the kind everybody else has, which is bad, undeserved, gotten from the wrong person, and so on. And they have a process by which bad money can be made good, which is donating to them or paying taxes, and they get it anyway in the end. And this runaway to Yale business, that really bothered me. First, Yale doesn't take runaways. I can only imagine him showing up with the stick and the handkerchief. I hear you have room in your law school. Second of all, if he did do that, that is one of the great American achievements of all time. And he went back. He's back in Ohio. He became a senator. So he didn't leave there. And for somebody like me who went to Princeton, who does know that Yale accepts a lower class of people, but did grow up in Minnesota, I don't know what what is their message to me? Paying back, be like Tim Waltz, be an assistant coach.
A volunteer assistant coach.
A volunteer assistant coach.
Yeah.
When I played football in high school in my tiny little town, I always looked at the assistant coaches and thought, that guy should be president.
Emily, what do you make of this, taking a 25% to 50% tax on money that you haven't even made? That's on paper, but you can't touch.
It just shows how this entire time all they do is play with everyone else's money, right? It's like watching someone gamble with their wealthy spouse's money or watching someone play Monopoly. It's all fun and games because it's not actually theirs. The whole point is, what you said about the donating, every dollar the government has is a dollar taken from us. There's no income for the government. So that is why everything out of their mouths, it's like topsy-turvy, upside-down world because they're all full of crap. We heard it from Waltz earlier where he said, where everyone makes a contribution. He's the same person that said socialism was just being neighborly. So which is it, right? We also had someone say, if you want to finally buy a house, elect Kamala Harris president. We can't buy a house right now because she's vice president.
Yeah.
Everything in place right now is because of their policies. And I feel like they keep treading on their own thin ice, right? We are in a racist, horrific, shattered environment that needs them to come in place to restore it. But who was in charge the last 4 years? You guys were, right? And they're saying all of a sudden, no, it's not enough. You can't pull yourselves up by your bootstraps from Appalachia and go to Yale. But it's okay if Walz does it. It's only if you're the right kind of person, if you vote D and wear blue, that all of a sudden the narrative's fine. Because apparently he can shoot animals, but Don Jr. can't.
Yes.
Right?
He's a great shot, he claims. Kat, Kamala has been in the White House for 43 months, and they act like she just showed up.
Yeah.
Doesn't that piss you off? Actually, it doesn't really piss me off, but it's nice to say it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of this stuff, I really like what you said about how you don't care how they are rich. It doesn't bother me that they're rich. I don't care if people cozy up to billionaires.
Yeah.
I never have, but I don't brag about it because I can admit the only reason I haven't is no billionaires ever wanted to cozy up with me.
Yeah.
So I don't care that they're rich. I don't care that they're successful. I care that they are actively working so that I can't achieve more success for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's so absurd to have Michelle Obama, and she's a great speaker. She's very likable. She walks in a room, I'm like, I want that person to like me. But the thing she's saying, she's like, well, you know, my parents didn't trust people who took more than they needed. But you have all these massive estates for yourself, which is fine. That's great. Good for you. But why do you want to take money from me that, again, doesn't even exist?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to make it so hard for me? Admit you like money.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Tyrus, we saw Walt speak. They had these giant signs that said coach.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer astronaut. Just waiting for the call, NASA. I'm ready.
You don't think he's a real coach?
No. He was an assistant coach, which means that he was the guy when he told you to do something, you went, you're not even paid to be here, sir.
Totally.
I get what they're talking about billionaires, because there's nothing worse in your neighborhood when you go walking outside your house and see a bunch of billionaires walking around. It's like, kids, get in the house. There's billionaires everywhere. Don't mess around and bring up our property value. We can't have that.
Yep.
So it's not even hypocrisy. It's not even lying at this point. It's like they're playing a fantasy game. I feel like they all have these little headsets on, and they look totally different than what we think. It's like the guys that they had lined up with the jerseys on, maybe don't have them wear the ones from high school, because a few of them, you know, like I don't wear a tutu to work for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but again, they're so out of touch, and they just say things, and they don't even know who they're talking to, because they were talking about sports. Did you look at the crowd?
Yeah.
Right.
Did anyone in that crowd look like they even heard of a sport, let alone a jumping jack or a sit-up?
No.
Like none. So again, they're just talking, because at the end of the day, the words they say is a filler for Trump. No Trump. Trump's bad. Trump. That's it. We're not going to hear about anything they do. All we're going to hear about is what Trump does, and he does more for the regular person than they've ever done because they're not interested.
Yes, and you know, they did focus on what Trump does, but it was on nicknames and talk about crowd sizes. Never anything about policy. It was like, you don't want to have to wake up to all this like stuff. And it's like, oh, just words. It's like, yeah, actually, we'd rather take that than 2 wars. We'll take that and have more jobs. We'll take that and have lower unemployment and lower inflation. I can take the mean tweets, okay? Why can't you wusses?
Well, just keep them billionaires out my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.